On the News Channel 5 network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. This week, both the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville began preparing to reopen the economy in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. The state and Metro obviously have the same goal, but they are approaching the reopening somewhat differently and on somewhat different time frames. For example, it appears the state's ready to open a number of businesses, restaurants, and retail establishments early next week, while Metro seems to be having a little later reopening, perhaps sometime in the early part of May. Our guest today on Inside Politics is Dr. Alex Jahangir, the chairman of the Metro Board of Health and also chair of the city's coronavirus task force. Dr. Jahangir, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. It seems the state's ready to reopen their things in the first phase as early as Monday. Metro's starting a little bit later. Why?
Well, Pat, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. From the beginning of our response to this crisis, the mayor was very clear with me, and I was very clear with him. We need to do this in a data-driven and science-driven manner. Every decision from establishment of safer at home to now as we look to reopen has always been about the science and the data, and this is no different. So that's why.
You mentioned, the mayor mentions several times that you basing your reopen plan on science and data, and you're not being date driven specifically. Is that sort of a slam on the state? Do you think the state is too date driven in what they're doing in reopening as quickly as they are?
No, I really haven't really focused as much on what the state's doing. I know for Metro, we are focusing on the science and the data, and we just, so I think I can only speak to what we're doing, and I think that's the most important way to reopen.
Metro Davidson County is surrounded by other counties that are in the state plan, and Metro's doing its own plan. Are you concerned because the virus and our economies don't recognize county lines? Are you concerned with the state opening probably a week or 10 days, maybe before Metro does, even to begin with half capacities in restaurants and retail, that's going to have an adverse impact on what Metro's trying to do?
Well, I think you're absolutely right that I think if one assumes that only Davidson County policy impacts only Davidson County, I mean, that's not how our economy works. When before this virus, about 1 million people a day would drive into Nashville, and our MSA is almost 2 million people when about 700,000 live in our county. What I can tell you is what I'm really proud of working with Mayor Cooper and what our city has done is we were the first to establish a safer home order in our state. And very quickly, our regional mayors followed suit, and it really helped flatten the curve in our community. As we reopen, again, we are going by a science-driven manner, and my hope is that our regional mayors will also take that into consideration as we look to expand industry around our entire area. Listen, I get it. I want to get back to being completely open and back to a somewhat semblance of a normal life as soon as we can. But what I don't want to do is what's happening all around the world is if you open too quickly, we don't do the precautions that we as Nashvillians have done so well, you'll see a second spike and a surge that really maybe is worse than the first spike. So we just have to be thoughtful about this.
I want to point out over your shoulder, you've got the COVID-19 Nashville website, and that's where people want to find out more details specifically about the plan for reopening, on the phase of the reopening, not by a date, but by meeting certain standards every 14 days. I want to ask you about, you have 4 pretty key indicators you're looking at, and have you thought about taking those 4 in an abbreviated form, putting them up on a dashboard and putting a green light next to them or a yellow light next to them or a red light next to them? You're going to get asked about how we're doing on this every day for 14 days till it changes one way or the other. And it might make your life a lot more sane if you can tell people to go to the website rather than have to explain it every time you get asked.
Well, first of all, I'm glad to always answer the questions. In all sincerity, transparency has been the key for another driving force for us this entire response. And I'm glad you asked that question. And this afternoon, that actually was on my to-do list. To sit down, we have a mock-up of a dashboard that our wonderful team here has put together with these metrics that we've discussed. previously, and exactly that. I want to do a green, yellow, and red. I want people to know where we are, but I also want to be very clear that one metric in isolation isn't going to drive our decision one way or the other. Okay, so if one metric is looking positive or negative, but every other metric's looking the opposite way, we'll probably just go the opposite way. But there has to be some judgment in this, and so we're going to be very clear with people of where we stand. And this morning in our press conference, I tried to give a report card of where we were as a city. And every day, and every night, frankly, it's something I look at and I apprise the mayor of several times a day, including on weekends.
This is not a specific metric, but this week the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce issued a pretty sobering report that every week reopening the economy is delayed. We're losing thousands of jobs, a lot of which won't come back. Along with these metrics, how does what this is doing to the economy by not reopening or waiting to reopen hurting us? Is that something you take into consideration, or is it all the data and the science?
So to say that I'm not aware of that would be wrong, right? And I grew up in this community. This community impacts me. I'm involved in several nonprofits and have lots of friends that are business owners. So I feel it, I see it, and I know the impact on the economy. But that variable by itself, or that variable period, doesn't impact the science and the data. And as I've mentioned from the beginning, my obligation to this community and per the mayor is to make sure we do this in a way that we can get back to our economy, so we can get our economy recovered as soon as possible. But to do that, we have to follow the science. We have to follow the medicine. And so that's my driving force. But of course, I'm aware of the impact on the economy. But we have to stay true to how we can have a long-term sustained economic recovery.
I know you're not setting a specific date for when Metro is going to be going into phase one, but what is your goal in terms of giving 48 hours notice or 36 hours notice or 40 or longer than that, or even the day before notice? When is this? What are you hoping to tell people so that the businesses like the restaurants and retail can be ready to reopen?
Well, that's a superb question. I don't have a good answer for you other than enough notice that makes sense, because I can't say, hey, everyone open up in an hour and everyone opens up. I think as we get closer to the May 1st expiration of the current stay-from-home order, I hope that we can provide some direction as to what the next steps may be. But as of this moment, I can't specifically answer your question.
Dr. Alex Jahangir, who's the chairman of the Metro Board of Health and also the chair of the city's coronavirus task force, is our guest. Back to continue our conversation with him after this break.